Welcome to Focus on Your Core Competency and Partner for the Rest. Today, we will briefly go through the steps to learn how for you to focus on your competitive advantage via compassionate competition while partnering with others to best address those that you serve. These are challenging times for nonprofits. The combination of the ending of the stimulus funding and the current administration and increased need is requiring many nonprofits to have to do and serve more with less money. So how can that be done? The best way to do more with less is prioritizing and focusing on your unique competitive advantages. The key steps for this process include conducting an internal situation analysis, focusing on your core strengths, looking at your logic model, focusing on the outcomes, completing a mission and margin matrix, and analyzing the key demographics and needs of your specific target market. Then assessing the competitive landscape. After doing both of those, you are able to then determine and then communicate your competitive advantage and unique value proposition. Then look at the strategies you must implement to maintain your competitive advantage while uniquely owning that advantage, then proactively going out to your competition and other partners to being able to meet the unmet needs of those you serve and or to be able to address the areas that you're not strongest on. And then looking at continuous improvement, including assessing appropriate opportunities to maintain this competitive advantage. You know, when I talk to a lot of nonprofits, they say, we don't compete. That's correct. You don't compete like a for-profit organizations. However, there are finite resources. So you do compete with similar perceived organizations in your sector, in your geography for funding for clients, staff, and board and volunteers. The secret is just being able to compete compassionately. This is a pursuit of excellence and achievement while simultaneously demonstrating empathy and support for others, including your competitors. It's having ethical standards and competing that remains fair. Focusing on your unique impact, and then both sharing of successes and working together to accomplish shared goals. We all know about the SWOT analysis, and we don't want you to have to do a detailed one, but what we would like you to do is focusing on your internal strengths in all areas of the organization and looking for that uniqueness compared to those perceived competitors, including mission and vision, programs and services, human resources, your finances, development and fundraising, communications and marketing, operations, and the way you partner and collaborate with others. Analyze your target market, your target audience, those you uniquely serve. What are their specific demographics? And who are you trying to serve? And what aim are you trying to serve? What are their most pressing needs? What do they look for in a nonprofit? And just as importantly, what are their unmet needs? Also, look at the characteristics, including service usage, engagement level with your organization, their satisfaction, their family situation, their health and well-being, and also the key motivations and barriers and challenges to accessing the services they need, and also how they prefer to be communicated with. The next is, we won't spend much time on this, is essentially making sure that you have a good evaluation system in place and that you are evaluating outcomes, not outputs, and that with your evaluation process, you're actually using this data, this information for continuous improvement. Based on your analysis, then we want to complete what we refer to as the mission versus margin, where we're plotting out your programs on the 4 quadrants. Going from top to bottom is the potential for mission-based outcome, And down below is the potential for funding and/or profitability. Mission criteria. In looking at mission criteria, we really want to look at, are these programs really aligned with your core mission? Are you doing a great job in execution? And does this fill important gaps for those that you serve? At the mission margin matrix, the goal is to look at to improve efficiency and/or funding from other programs to enhance programs in quadrant 1. Stop or harvest, potentially transferring that program to another nonprofit that does the work better in quadrant 2. Invest capacity to expand programs in quadrant 3, and seek or expand programs that generate profit in quadrant 4 to help fund quadrant 2. So basically, looking at this, these are the things that, one, is what we really love to do. Great mission impact, but they may not fund themselves. Quadrant 2 is low mission impact, and also at the same time is not profitable. Quadrant 3 are those that have high potential for mission impact and also high profitability. And quadrant 4 is low mission impact, but high profitability. As I mentioned, we want to stop in quadrant 2, take our cash cow, our cash tree in quadrant 4, be able to fund programs in quadrant 1, and then looking at what it takes to be able to scale and expand those in quadrant 3. Here's an example of how we map this out. Take the size of the bubble is the percentage of your total budget of that program. So, a larger percentage equates a larger bubble. So first, we would like you to map out where you currently are, and then map out what you have planned to change, to improve upon. Again, our goal is to reduce those in quadrant 2, make quadrant 1 more efficient, more effective, look at funding, expanding quadrants 3 and 4, and then using funds generated from 3 and 4 if needed to fund in quadrant 1. Once we know what we do and what we do well and what we would like to change to be more impactful and sustainable, then it's time for us to look at our competitors. First, identify 4 or 5 different organizations in the same sector and or geography that are competing for donors, volunteers, clients, etc. If you're having a challenging time identifying that, check with your foundations, check with your funders. They will know, and they will give you what they perceive to be your competitors. So once you've gathered these competitors, determine them, gather some key information on them, and do this analysis by indicating the mission and vision of each, the key outcomes, the target audience, programs and services, what they do uniquely well, different, revenue and assets, what their funding sources are, and how they market and communicate, not only to those they serve, but also to those that fund or potential supporters of the organization. Once you've mapped out your competitor analysis, and you know what they do different from what you do, and you know your unique strengths, your unique impact to the community, then it's time for you to synthesize your competitive advantage, your core competence, what you do uniquely well. Finding this as your unique value proposition that communicates how you uniquely address specific community needs and the unique benefits of your nonprofit. Make sure that this unique value proposition aligns with your core strengths and addresses the needs of your target audience. Once you've determined that competitive advantage, we have to look at maintaining this. What are the key, and part of that is, what are the key elements of your nonprofit that creates and sustains your unique niche? What you must do to continue, what you must continue. This isn't just the programs and services, but all the other areas that support your organization, that support those programs and services. We understand and that we are humble in the nonprofits, and we don't like to go out and boast. I don't think you need to boast, but I do. Once you know your niche, that you go out and communicate this. Communicate this to your partners, communicate to your funders, to your stakeholders, to your clients, what you feel you do uniquely best and how you deliver upon that. And then explore explore partnerships with your competitors or other organizations that address the unmet needs of those you serve and or the weaknesses, the things you do not do as well, not your strengths. Then looking at each aspect of your organization, determine how to maintain this competitive advantage with your key stakeholders. What strategies must you use to implement? What resources are needed? What capacity is needed? Will the community still value this advantage in the future? And looking at, is there a possibility that some other organization will offer this service more competitively in the future? Just like everything else in your organization, we need to continue to have continuous improvement from ongoing evaluation and being adaptive, staying agile and adapting to changing circumstances to maintain your edge. How to market and communicate to maintain your competitive advantage. Telling stories. Sharing compelling stories that highlight your unique impact. Remember, emotional connections can inspire great action. Continuing a strong brand identity. Look at video testimonials. Educate your donors. Create targeted talking points for your staff and your board of directors to be spokespersons, ambassadors within the community. Better leverage social media. What are the things that we in implementing the strategy with several nonprofits? They were concerned about what message do we say that we are paring back, we are cutting back from reduced funding. I think the easiest way to do this is that you're paring back to your focus, your competitive advantage, that ultimately enhances the impact per dollar, per resource that you spend. And that your plans are to be able to expand upon this competitive advantage, expand upon your uniqueness when additional funding is available. A wise mentor of mine said a long time ago that if you do a really great job, you're impactful and focused, that you're overwhelmed with a plethora of opportunities. And therefore, others will be coming to you with quote unquote opportunities to partner and other opportunities. We suggest using these criteria to being able to funnel out quickly those that do not warrant your resources and or time. Parts of this key criteria are that this opportunity is aligned and supports your mission and outcomes, aligns with your logic model, that you can do it now, that you have the capacity to successfully implement, that there is a true need within the community, that it is financially sustainable, that there is not only programming funding, but also administrative funding, that there is local support for this outcome, this opportunity, that it's low risk, that if you try it and it doesn't work, that it doesn't negatively impact your organization, and that you have a business plan in place. We've only highlighted the key steps on being able to be more impactful with less resources by focusing on your core. If you're interested for more information, we're happy to help implement this customized for your organization. Thank you for your time and have a great day.